Welcome everyone to Planetary Gig Talk Live. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassie, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gigs Society, whose mission is making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace, harmony, coherence to the world. We're doing the best we can here, and I'm really excited because this is quite the conversation. I'm curious about an awful lot of things, and plant medicine is certainly one of them. I believe it's a real powerful thing. I mean, everything that we ingest, eat, and drink is basically plant medicine. That's my bird clock in case you hear it. But we have three amazing humans, musicians, to talk with today. And I'm just going to start off with my old buddy, Marshall Thomas, who met at Victor Wooten's Spirit of Music Camp. He's out there putting a lot of music out. Marshall, great to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. Good. How you been?
Yeah, that was good. Victor's Spirit of Music Camp is quite the place, and we got into a lot of conversations, including about plant medicine, and it was really wonderful to meet you and now following kind of what you're doing. So thanks for being on the program here.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
And then also I met at Vic's Spirit of Music Camp this year. He's this guy over here, I call him Chuck Sebek, but he says Ciao. Chuck, how do you pronounce that?
Good morning, Jefferson. Tio.
Tio Chuck.
Espanol for uncle. They call me Uncle Chuck.
Oh, Uncle Chuck. Well, it's great to see you. I know you're in the warmth of Las Vegas now, so we're a little, jealous at the moment. But we talked also. You played a beautiful flute song. I remember there.
Thank you.
At the barn, and just really looking forward to having this conversation. So thanks for signing on.
Thank you.
And one of my most favorite, wonderful friend from Brazil. We spent a bunch of time together with a lot of other people and everybody else, including the tribe in the Amazon rainforest. They all spoke Portuguese. I was the only one who did not. But a few people spoke English, and Carol was kind of my translator and my helper, and I just have so much respect for her and what she does. She's a true kind of music forest shaman. So Carol, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me to this beautiful meeting, and let's go say a little of Brazilian knowledge about the plant medicine today.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, Carol is just one of the bravest people that I know. She's just amazing. So let me just give a tad bit of my perspective on this. As I kind of indicated, I listened to a lot of videos by Paul Stamets and about mushrooms, and I've done some reading as the plant medicines become more, I guess, accepted into our society. Michael Pollan's book, Change Your Mind, there's a lot more acceptance of it. There was a whole Timothy Leary thing in the 60s and 70s, and I guess the drug companies and the powers that be really tried to put a kibosh on that, in spite of the many health benefits and otherwise. But I mean, really the plants were here first, and they know more than we do, and they can help us in so many ways. I mean, spices and whatever. We couldn't live without, drinks from the plants and food that even animals that ultimately come from the plants. But it isn't quite. There's not a real focus on it here in the U.S. And then the ceremonies with the particular kind of plants have been used for eons by indigenous peoples and otherwise to learn, help them spiritually do so many things. And it was Marshall who said to me, the music is the medicine, which just really is an amazing statement that I want to find out more about. So we're just going to go around a little bit, but Marshall, could you talk a little bit about plant medicines? What do you know about them? What
Sure.
do you do? What are the benefits? How do you view these things?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was exactly what you said. Like every plant is a medicine. You know, we use them for food and in our creams for protection for so many different things. Um, Honestly, everything you can think of. And then we have these master plants that are almost used for a real ceremonial purpose, a psychedelic experience purpose, and a real um, deep, deep, deep healing and deep inner work purpose. And I guess I found myself in one of those ceremonies and retreats a few years ago to do some work. And I was not a musician. I never played music. I sang, you know, a little bit as a kid, but I didn't play any instruments, and I had totally been away from that world, and I'd been away from nature as well. And that first ceremony, it was like everything everything all coming together at once. And I said the music is the medicine because the more ceremonies I did, I realized how the medicine will make any music sound incredibly beautiful. And then if it's really good music, it can make your experience that more powerful. And it's so intertwined in these ceremonial spaces that yeah, I really just started to see the healing power of music. Because you know you can do these ceremonies in silence, of course. But when you add this other depth and dimension of people using their voices and these instruments, it just takes things to a whole new level. And they affect each other in such a intertwined way that it's almost the same.
It's fascinating. Chuck, what do you think about that? But just about plant medicines in general, benefits, and what knowledge can you share
Boy,
about
I
that?
thank you. Yeah, and Marshall, thank you for sharing those ideas. You gave me so many thoughts while you were sharing. Uh, I am the co-owner of Ancestral Retreats. BJ Ancestral Retreats is the full name, and we do trauma-informed practices, and we use music and plants as tools. We work with the Colombian Taita. He's a Bunko curandero. He's been working for over 30 years with the plants and music. And when Marshall was sharing, and I was thinking about how ceremony uh, progresses, music is so important. In our Colombian tradition, we call it walking the tiger, and it's controlling the energies. And really, the energies are the breath, right? Maybe somebody is having a traumatic experience and we want to help slow and down and ground them and bring them back to earth. And maybe something gentle, some kind of gentle music. Or even, I was even thinking when Marshall was sharing in the jungle, you know, we use sobando, that's just breathy whisper. Things like that, which are calming to the system, you know, and then collectively, that's to calm them down. But if we want to raise the noon, we want to raise the energy, you know, maybe we play something a little bit more lively with you know, hangpans or so, and then this collective energy builds. So music and walking the tiger is very important for ceremony. I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up with bands like the Pixies in the 90s, and one thing that they did really well in their music and this punk rock music was loud, quiet, loud, and they would raise the energy. If you went to one of those concerts, you see in that setting how the boom, 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 boom. the crowd would respond. And it's the same thing in plant medicines, using music to help help the nervous system, help people connect, because just one more thing before we get to Carol is you shared earlier um, about plants and how plants all have different energies, but everything has different energies. We don't just, Marshall and I were talking about dieta, plants. We go to the jungle, we stop using things that are bad for us, oils, sugars, salts, all kinds of things. And we get back to our natural state so that we, in our energetic vibration, is closer to that of the plants. And we listen to the plants. We learn from the plants. What is it that this plant could teach us? Now, whether it's an entheogenic plant, a God-connecting plant that lets us reflect deeply upon ourselves, or I'm looking here in my backyard at some grass, I could diet this grass, and that grass has a lesson for me. It will teach me something. Well, it's the same for music. What can that music teach us in these instances? So I think that's a connection there of the importance of plants, the introspective importance, how we could help people through that process. Thank you for listening.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I want to follow up just a little bit. You said, the plants teach us.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're just a regular person walking around
Mm-hmm.
town, you wouldn't necessarily think that, but you look at the trees and whatever. I mean, what are they
Yeah,
teaching us? I don't really hear them saying anything, although, I mean, I do hug trees and all that, but
sure.
could you elaborate
So
a little bit on that? What,
absolutely.
yeah.
There's different ways to look at this. We say the spirit of the plant. What is the spirit of this plant? And some people go into their imagination and they view maybe an entity which represents the spirit of this plant. To me, it's the energy of that plant. And when you say, what do you have to learn from this plant? Well, if we're using an entheogenic plant, I work with ayahuasca and tobacco. If we work with ayahuasca, ayahuasca is an entheogenic plant, meaning God connecting, and it gives us great reflection to allow us to see within. So to go to an idea that we shared, we said music is the medicine. Ayahuasca is the medicine. Well, I do not believe that's necessarily true. I agree to a point, but I think those are tools that help us access the medicine which is in us. We are the medicine. And without these tools, without the entheogenic plant, whether you're using, you mentioned mushrooms earlier, psilocybin, we mentioned ayahuasca, iboga, these other plants. These tools will allow us in different levels, in different ways, different personalities, different spirits in each of these plants. They allow us to look within. Sometimes trauma buries things within us that we can't access in our ordinary reality. But when we go into this non-ordinary state, it allows us to see in. People sometimes get frightened of the things they see. They experience great trauma in the past. That's why we're here, where we provide great resources, integration afterwards, counseling, therapy, or access to therapists and things like this. Because what we're in the business is, I heard Marshall mentioned psychonauts earlier, and I was a psychonaut when I was younger, and I appreciate that. And if that's why you're here for the plants, I hope you the most blessed journeys. But that's not why we're here. We're here for this trauma-informed practices, helping people in whatever way, in whatever depth, become better people. And that's how I see this quote unquote what we call healing. It's not magic. I drink ayahuasca, boom. Maybe I will feel good in a few hours, but oh, I'm healed. Excuse my language, but bullshit. It's work. It is always work. Healing is work. Thank you for listening. Music is healing. People say I'm not a musician. Marshall said I'm not a musician. Well, when you're cooking pots of ayahuasca, it takes 3 days. You become a musician pretty quickly, and that you learn is healing in that process, and you heal others. So music is medicine. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that perspective.
Thank you.
So, Carol, I know you have been really in a lot of situations, right in the Amazon and a lot of different places. And what's your perspective on the plant medicine? How do you view these things? What do you have to say about it?
Thank you again for being here. And for me, it's a pleasure to speak a little about the power of plants, because I've been studying for years, and I think as one more year passed now, I think the power of plants is simpler and simpler. because, for example, when I think about one tea, my favorite tea, for example, and I diet this plant, then the whole perspective of the energy of this plant being something small is broken. Because even a small plant, if you study this spirit, it reveals other realities of this spirit in front of you. Then I've been walking through, for example, the Funio people for 5 years now. Every year I go there with this Funio family I have there. And only now I have some of my favorite plants. And the favorite is not the Jurema, which is the main plant there. The favorite is the other plants. And those plants are the ones you can use for anything. You can use for bath, you can use for drinking, you can use for blessings. Then a power plant is many plants in many times, in many cultures, in many countries. Then when you study those plants, power plants, for example, the Jurema one. The Jurema is the main responsible to open our mind, our hearts, and our souls to the plant way, the plant path. Then this is open to you if you wish, if you ask, and if you use properly this plant with respect and with all your senses open to receive. Something is up to you, it's about you, as Uncle Chuck said. Then this plant, as the Jurema, is like a portal to know other plants, not only of open mind, open expansions of the consciousness, but also to see a little more the plants of the yard itself. Then I note that when this happens, when we are open to the plants, then our eyes change, because the plants we before didn't see, now we see. So sometimes you see a plant here in Brazil, and then you see another place, and they live differently. And then you see plants, they are as without value to us, like something small, something without value. But then in this way of the master plants too, you see that it's important, as well as the other one, as the ayahuasca, which is a great mission of bringing consciousness to us again. But it also, this spirit of ayahuasca also shows that the smallest ones that no one wants to know, for example, are important too, and they can be a power plant to someone. So it's a lifetime of admiring plants and admiring also the poison they can have, because the poison, there is also the other side of this poison. We have, for example, the trombeta here, which is a white flower, big white flower, and they always said that the trombeta is dangerous. And the trombeta is dangerous. And then you walk, and if you respect and you think about it, and you give permission to know a little better of this trombeta energy, then you see the blessings that this plant can offer too. But one of the things that is a little hard for us to see plants as they are, it's because we are a little young, a little masculine time of of our planet, and so it's hard to us to even to talk about that. For example, that I want to know the spirit of the cafe, of the coffee plant, for example.
Yes, yes.
Even to speak, even to say this statement is a little out of the curves of the main thinking, you know. So, for example, I have this coffee plant here on my window, and one time after a lifetime drinking the coffee plant, I was I was in a receptive mind time, and something said to me that I have to know a little more the spirit of the coffee plant. And then I almost fighted to have this coffee plant here. And then I see that I took a bath after 2 years trying to get my own coffee plant, and then I got it. And now the coffee plant is here, and I prayed herbs bath with this special one that came to me. And my whole energy of this year, 2025, was changed by this experience of a little herbs bath. So I think it's a lifetime to unmade the strong energies of thinking and the young energy we are now dealing with, so that we can respect the plants again, respect any plant. Of course, it's easy to talk, not so easy to practice, because it demands a way of getting to know ourselves again, and to breathe with conscious. So then when we can be more subtle again, we can come back to this ancestrality we have, because first we were vegetables in our genes. So when we truly discover a plant, not only as I experience, because many people come and want to have in their hearts, they want to have thrilling experience. They want to feel freedom with the plant medicine today, because we are all needing some experiences to our hearts to cry, for our spirits to be for us to be sensitive to our spirits too again. So I think it's in this way it is almost something after we pass through this necessity of having experiences, you know, with this team of the plant medicine of today. People need really, we really need this too. But after we have this, and after we walk this way with more responsibility and with consistency, then I think we get there in a way that we respect all plants as all different forms of our ancestors, you know. That's it.
So when you say the path of the plants, I take it to mean just becoming more aware of the plants and open to the fact that they're not just a bush or a tree, but that they're like relatives who are wise and they have a lot to offer. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, of course, because they are older than us. So they are subtle, but they are as seeds of what we are now. So then, for example, you have Samauma, the one we met together in the Amazon forest, which is a huge being of forces. And then you imagine how many time we have to study and to be together with this plant, so that we can know the lights and the other side of this plant. then it's also to our minds of human people a little um, polemical, because you can see only one face of this huge being as the beautiful, as the force, or as the strong energy that is present in this samauma tree, right? But it's not only light. The 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 light is huge and the other side is the same. Then then it's necessary, yes, for us to sometimes we can only see big plants, master plants, but in this way of getting to know the integral, the whole thing, then we see that small plants, some tiny plants, are also huge in the spirit, you
Mm.
know then it's something we have inside too. Our ego is like this because sometimes we want to be like a samauma, strong and big and everything, but sometimes we are a little one. Then I think the vegetables are also as our own spirit. But in a subtle way, because sometimes it's not, we are like small in our way, in our bodies, but huge in our spirits too.
Mm. Yes, Chuck, it looks, what do you have? What do you want to say?
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Carol. Um, boy, so much. Again, to expand that last idea is in Shipibo, we see each of the plants as our family members, So that's the type of relationship we're going for with each of the plants, whether it's a small plant or Samauma, a big plant like Samauma bark. But I want to go back to this idea. It was a very important idea Carol shared a little bit ago. And she was talking about coffee and this relationship she had with coffee. And when Carol finally drank that coffee she got from the bean that she grew herself, that she had this relationship with, she knew what was in that plant. She knew what she was feeding herself. In Shipibo, when I would first go sit, my maestro would say, I asked him a question, he'd say, Chuck, go ask the plants, go sit with the plants. And it's crazy coming from the Western world. You say, what the hell's that all about? I go sit with the tree. Are you kidding me? But after time, you do have this relationship and you understand this tree. And maybe you do go up and you taste the bark or a leaf or whatever. You get together with the spirit of this tree. So I just want to mention that everything is a feed. Carol was talking about feeding herself coffee and knowing what she's putting into her body. When we go on to the social media, what do we call it when we scroll? That's our what? It's our feed. It's what we're feeding our mind.
Mm.
We got to be careful of that feed. We got to go on diet. When we play music, that's another feed. Different types of music bring different vibrations. And if we're trying to change things within ourselves, maybe trying to calm our system, well, there's a certain type of music, there's a certain way we play music or things we could do to help us do that. So I like that Carol identified that. Yeah, everything's a diet, and everything's a relationship. I don't want to get on the Morrissey bandwagon, meat is murder too much, but when we look at the way that chickens are raised in the Midwest, maybe we consider sometimes the companies that we're buying this type of food to feed ourselves, with. They're not the types of chickens that are growing down there in Acre that are running around the compound.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, sure. So Marshall, I mean, we are talking about music, but this is fascinating about the plants as well. So again, the role of music in the ceremonies, in conversing with or learning from the power plants. You said you weren't a musician before, but you just put out an album. You've been playing out all the time. Your writing is about nature and very spiritual things. So how do you relate music, or could you just talk a little bit about music
Yeah,
from your perspective with this plant medicine context?
for sure. I do want to touch on some things Chuck said, like talking about how you do realize that you are the one that needs to change yourself. And that's something I experience with plants. that like you think you might imagine that ayahuasca is healing you and that you got rid of all this stuff, and it does help you do that. But if you had that belief that, oh, this plant healed me, then that would not be such a strong way to ingrain that new program in your body. And I noticed that in myself, like at some point I realized that I did this all myself. And that's kind of what the plants do is they open up portals and they open up pathways, and they really want you to be empowered yourself though,
Mm.
because once you know that you did it yourself, you really feel your own power, and you really understand. And that's what happened to me. I was living at a center, and there was a lot of gu guitars around, and I saw another person my age who had been living there a year, and he said he'd just been playing guitar. And I was a poet. I always loved poetry, but I never imagined that I could play an instrument and sing. And one night the medicine showed me like very clearly, it's like you can do this, man. Like you could totally do this. You have something to share. And I wrote a song on the drum, and it was the first poem that I wrote at my first retreat. And this was a year later when I was volunteering at the same place. And it was the first song I sang in a ceremony with a drum. And just doing that, just opening my voice in front of people, and that gave me this whole next level of belief where I was like, wow, like that was not that hard, like I could do that. And it just slowly built, and I started playing guitar, and a few chords went together, and I was like, oh my God, like I just did it. And so I bought a guitar and got on YouTube, started learning how to play songs, and all the while still using plant medicine, still keeping that. I use it as a teacher, I don't believe you. At least for me, I felt a strong connection with it to go back and to just kind of get reinforcement. But Chuck's right. All the work is done by yourself in integration. And if you can't take it back to the real world, then it's not fully ingrained. Um,
Marshall, what do you mean? Like, okay, so remember, we're with people who might not know this word integration. And to me, that is the most important word that we can use in this context. What does that mean to you, integration? When does that take place?
yeah, I mean, we all have this belief like, oh, not belief, but sometimes we have the thought, oh, I just want to go live in Costa Rica forever and go live on a beach forever. But then we get there and it's like, no, we want to go change the world and share our gifts and the things we learn with our families and friends. And um
But
I
if we don't
believe that
change, our problems are just going to follow us to the beach, right? I mean, they're going to
exactly. And
be
we,
there
we
when we
all
get
have
there.
this inner drive, to do that. But then we all have this trauma with our friend with our family, and it can be so hard to be around them sometimes, or to take that work back. And that's the integration. You have to go back to your life and really keep pushing to make a difference. And I spent years doing that, years going back, not ready, going back to the jungle, going back and keep building myself up. Um, and
Because work
music,
takes time. Work takes
it
time.
takes it takes
It's not this
time
magical thing that people think. We can't
and
just go. Yeah.
exactly. And with the music, how it connects, it became my way to take what I learned and to give it back to people, from my perspective, from my own creativity. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but it was just such a gift. Like it's such a gift. And I've seen dozens of other people do the exact, maybe more, hundreds, do the exact same thing. You know, the medicine shows them the power of their own voice. And I do believe anybody can be a musician, whatever. There's an instrument for somebody. If they're not a singer, there's some way to express yourself through it. I think everybody has that. I don't think there's anybody that can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
So Carol, on the music side, I know you. Well, I'll just intro this by saying, when I went with the tribes, the first super dose of ayahuasca, I thought I was going to die, which I think is what
Die.
I think it's what it's supposed to. It's the vine of the soul, right? You got to go to nothing before you can come back. And then I did one more and didn't want to do too much, but ended up just around the fire all night, shaking my shaker egg, and it was marvelous. And that's all I wanted. And it was just being there with the people. I didn't know them so much, but under the sky and all, then it was just, that music was just so wonderful all night long. But what is your perspective on that? Anything you want to share about music as part of the ceremonies and as part of these our learning from the plants?
Of course. I love this subject because first time I were with ayahuasca plant, it was in Portugal, and like 6 years ago, and Sandro was there playing like 6 or 7 hours, and I was laid down, and the guitar were very close to my head, and I was for 7 hours without moving any part of my body. So in those vibrations of the music were there to me, I changed it forever. And since then, I am integrating the whole life that I am studying music since I were a child. And I think, yeah, the music is the medicine indeed, because even in the Shipibo tribe, they when they meet a new one there on the tribe, and the one with want to meet himself or herself, they give a little time, and then in the force of the plant medicine, they see two things that are one, which is the color of the vibration, the type of the vibration, which is to the people like one Icaro, right, Uncle Chuck? And this one
Yeah,
is like a sound too.
Kenna.
So
They call Kenna. They vibrational patterns, and those do have color signatures. But when an Ikro is sung, an Ikro is a medicine song. We see Kenna, Kene. You could look on YouTube, we call Google.
yeah, then it's a whole human path, which is even nowadays alive because of the Shipibo people that unite the frequencies of the reality with the invisible form of sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you see today there is a musician, there is an artist, vision artist, which is in United States, going from one city to another in tour, showing one equipment which shows the vibration of things like mushrooms mainly, and in other plants or anything alive or not.
Do you know the name of this artist?
I can check it out.
We'll drop it down in the links below.
I have to do this because this is also a study that the science is trying to put in a way that we can study better, because mainly the sound is something not visible, not visual in those eyes.
Mhm.
But they have form, they have many
The music.
colors, forms, and information.
Mhm.
And so, as our friend Marshall said, this is not so difficult to be pushed from the invisible to visible to life, from spiritual to material life, to many of us. So many of us already have his own kind of musician signature. And the plant medicine sometimes in this, let's say, marriage to the music, bring people to the material reality of his own or her own musical reality.
Mhm.
So we could see life as our life is a result of the vibrations of many said of our thinking, and our thinking is musician, because our thinking have rhythm, or thinking have color. It's not, it's like the music is not, we are not able to see a thought, but the energy is there with color, with sensations, with forms. So what we are doing now, even though we are not making music now, what we have written here, we have the harmonious of our way of talking. Then we have music information here. And the medicine is like a car or something that takes us to understand that we are already musicians, and that it's not only to famous people or to great musicians, it's to every family. And on my way to Acre and to Xanenawa people, to Runicuim people, I know that it's not as we think here, that music is only for some people. They have music culture to the whole tribe. So it's common to see that it's many persons make music all together on the tribes. So that's why the music is not a thing only for studiers. It's also to anyone. And people have the experience of music, not make music, but enter the music. So it's another perspective. The music on the healing path is like the reality of the healing. It's not something one or another can make or not. It's something we live, and then we make it live more, because we are able now to paint something or to sing or to we are like invited to make this happen here, because it's already on the invisible reality. Then we can only, once we solve this, once we accepted that this is true, then we can make it more material. And then this path makes, in my opinion, the reversal path. On the normal reality, without medicine and self-knowledge, we try to make things on the material life. And once we accept to walk on the spiritual plant medicine path, then we understand that we can make the reverse. We go there, see, understand, and then we make happen here. That's I think that's the difference between the pray music and the music first and pray second, because every music is pray, even though it's not spiritual, but it's healing music too. No problem about it. But once we say that, as me as a praying musician, that I told myself as a praying musician, then I say that my commitment is to make the reversal path. So first, the music exists on my heart, and second, it is right about rhythm, about the notes, about the technical musical things. Then it's a little different, but both are music, so both are healing. Both can heal our hearts, and both are important. But this one, when you mix the music with the spiritual plants, then you have this contrary relationship with music, because it cannot be as formal, as technical as the other one sometimes, but it is indeed very connected, very truthful about, for example, I have a fire musician, and then this one, I am not allowed to sing this music if I'm not offering to the fire. I'm not allowed to only sing, only be there and sing properly the music, because I'm breaking with something which is the essence of this kind of music, that is born from the fire. Then I cannot sing without, unless I only make it because of the fire. So it's this. I think it's the main difference between the music as herself only, and the music and the plant medicine together. That when we, the Shananawa people, sing any song, it is something they are using these invisible forms and a proper way to say this, and a proper rhythm to say, or about the frog, or about some animals, or about the wind, or about the water. But they are first knowing what they are singing, and then they can sing simply, but you see that it's not very hard notes, or very hard chords. It's mainly simple chords, mainly simple notes, uh, but it is full of joy, because they are a people that sustain that we have to be, that the sadness is ill. They say this all the time, that sadness is a ill, is a disease. Then they sing very joyfully, because they are the people of joy. And sometimes if you go to Peru, for example, some parts of Peruvian culture have things, and or a way of expressing that brings a little bit of sadness, but it's a beautiful sadness, because it's something that represents love to them, represents care. Then you see that the musician comes all together with this essence, you know. So the plant medicine will always be. I think it has to be very together with the essence, and then the sounds all together with the force of the plant will make this field of the great possibilities of universe. And then we go outside of one musical and plant medicine ceremonial with this sensation of, whoa, I can make what I have to make, I am strong enough to do what I have to do. And then the second thing, which is to keep on doing, even without the plant medicine on our bars all the time, but And then when we feel weak, again, we can stop and use one sound healing moment. And the science tells that in 30 seconds um, singing, connected musical practice, our brains are different in 30 seconds. Then when you mix all these things, then you have a perfect place to healing yourself.
Wow, so interesting. Chuck?
Yeah, I love all that. We do have a Western audience here, Carol. I want to unpack some of this because when I sit here in the United States, I hear some of that. I say, wow, that sounds magical. It sounds like some of that jungle magic, but it's really not. And it transcends the medicine world. You know, we were mentioning, I loved when you're talking about, boy, I've said a lot of Shipibo. And on the wettest day in the jungle, my maestra weighs maybe 80 pounds and she'll sit in front of you and sing. And you're talking about those colors that come out, you know? Boy, she lights you up with those colors. And I was thinking about that when you're speaking, and that sounds a little woo to me. But then I was thinking, how do we transcend that? And other cultures, and let's go, we have some Spirit of Music, Victor Wooten people in here, Roy Wooten people in here. Roy talks about vibrational levels, and vibrational levels correspond with different notes, right? Jefferson, we know an A will come in between what, 432 and 440, depending upon where we're tuning in. Now we take that into different other ideas, like the ideas of chakras. Well, we know that a C chakra is the color red. And maybe you guys can experiment at home. Take out your red or your C major instrument. Carl gave you the 30-second challenge. Maybe play that note for 30 seconds and see if we feel anything down in our root. See if our root is supposed to ground us. Do we feel more grounded? A lot of people like playing up with their pineal gland. They think if I do this well enough in a certain way, I can release DMT. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But maybe we do, what's that color? Purple. What's that note? It's F, G, high A. What does that high A do for us? I don't know. But again, when we're talking about these colors, it's not like they're putting magic upon us. They're accessing what's already in our DNA. What people have discovered, you go to Tibet, I know you know these beliefs as well, these things that have been around for eons. Another thing really quickly is the power of music. And in Shipibo, we will say something like Neterao Pikotai, which means plant world liberate me. And how do I do that? And it's what Marshall said earlier and what Carl added onto, which is through our voice, through our sound. When we open our voices in that pure way, especially when we're connected in the purest way, open with the plants, boy, guys, that's the closest we can maybe get to heaven. I don't know, you know, but it's just to liberate yourself. Everything is shed at that moment, you know? Thank you.
Oh, man, so special. So I want to just ask everybody a little bit about what their kind of as a final thoughts in a sense of, how what you would tell friends or musicians or others, maybe to think about doing or to as a perspective. One of the things with plants that I've listened to this podcast by a guy named William Siff, and he's an ethnobotanist, I think. But the power of all these spices and pepper and all these, he said there's so much power for us in all these little spices. So, when we are dealing with, a friend of mine said, there's people always love food and music, food and music. Well, food is plant medicine. So plant medicine and music is such a combination. Carol was just explaining about that. So maybe just, Marshall, do you have some thoughts you'd like to just conclude with?
Sure.
Kind of wrap up or, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do so much purging in a ceremony and so much inner work and just laying there, and facing all that stuff. But then there comes a moment at the end of the night, and I've been fortunate enough to work in Mexico, and we always have a big fire at the end, and at some point you have to just let everything go and celebrate and dance around the fire and sing. And that is the best feeling in the world when you just don't want to do, you just don't want to do, you just don't want to, you faced it and now you just want to let it go and let it work itself out and you just want to enjoy. Um, and that's what people do all the time. I mean, that's why we love music festivals. That's why we love going to concerts. Like it's just a moment to be with other people and to just let all our problems go. So luckily that's ingrained in our culture, and every culture in the world is just going to listen to music. And yeah, that's why I say it is the medicine, because that is the one medicine that's not a plant, and it's available to all of us at any moment.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, thanks. Chuck, do you have?
I'm sitting with what Marshall just shared. Kind of, it was beautiful. Wow, guys.
I mean that when
You
you play.
know,
Good.
go ahead.
I was going to say
I
when you
was,
when you played that flute at Vic's, that was that was pretty special. So
thank you. Thank you.
go ahead.
It's like this, I was in education for 30 years, and I was in leadership, I love going to the schools, especially the elementary classrooms, because those kids are walking around and they're humming, they're singing, they're making up songs. They have this in their hearts. And then somewhere along the line, peer pressure maybe stops us from singing. Maybe life knocks those songs down in our hearts. And just making music, whether it's sobando, whistling, or singing, or I like to make up stupid Broadway songs about my dog in the day. It's just it try to have a bad day while you're singing, or playing an instrument. And let me go to this. Everybody thinks they suck. We do all begin with zero skill, right? We're learning something new. If I was dropped in Portugal tomorrow, or Rio, with my friend Carol tomorrow, boy, I'd have a hell of a time, because my Brazilian Portuguese is not very good at all. But I'll tell you, a couple weeks in there, Carol, we'd have a good time when we go to Mercado, right? So it's the same with music. Stick with it, everybody. It's like it's there for you, and it will change your life. It will change your day. And then you get to a point like us. Everybody here gets to share this skill, this gift with others. Whether you're a flute teacher and builder like me, or you share through ceremonies like the team here, it's just you can see it expanding around you. And what do we want to do in life? We want to surround ourselves with the kind of people that we want to be, and we're building this. That's what it's about for me. Thank you for. I was a ramble, guys, but
No, it's really
thank you.
great. And the part of the message is that the music is so wonderful to play. And if anyone feels like they want to play and can't or whatever, just go talk to some plants,
And if,
talk to
if I
some
could add
trees,
one one one
open up to, yeah, go
one
ahead.
thing I want to add is the validity of the spirit of music, the spirit of this vibrational energy we call music. The validity is as valid as any plant, as anything on this planet. If you're interested in what we're talking about today and you have not looked at Victor Wooten's work on this, whether it's through the book The Music Lesson or The Spirit of Music, I'm not just saying this to sell books for Vic, he's a friend, but it will change your perspective. I think Vic has the Western culture perspective on this spirit better than anybody out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
agreed. Thank
For
you.
sure.
Okay, Carol, last words for you.
So it was very warm to my heart to be here with you. Thank you one more time. And to me, my final words are that I truly believe that the next 10 years will be more and more musical years, because the chaos of this connected in technological time is making more and more noises, And I feel that the volume of the noises are each day a little louder. And the thing that will save us and will protect us, or mental health mainly, and the other health too, the emotional health and physical health, it is the music in more and more important way. So my pray and my word is to thank you, Jeff, for our friendship, for our time together, and so that we can work to expand this conscious of the power and the necessity of music. So now I am giving a training, which is the ounce voice, and people mainly that don't sing and that think they don't sing, so they are all singing, and the voices are better and better and better, and they are crying a lot, and they are making videos and audios, and Carol, I'm singing. And so this trainment came from this insight, probably in a plant medicine moment, or not, because now I think I am already inside of plants, even when I'm not with the plants really, but I'm with plants sometimes in my mind, in my heart, and it's sufficient sometimes.
You will never enter a room alone again, Carol.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to use music and use the voice, not only music, but healing music and voice healing music, to help people to see their own path, to not only to walk, but to see, to recognize it, to honor it. So I am very happy to end this year with this successful training, because it's something I didn't see in any place. I know there are many trainments in singing, but one trainment in creatives and healing singing, spiritual singing, to non-singers, is something I think only a brave heart can make, because it's not so simple to offer something like this and to sustain. So I keep telling people to sing with the mouth closed, to sing with the mouth open, to sing with vocals, to sing even when you are when no one is seeing you. So because you have to exercise, it's like you use your body only to walk, and you don't use it to dance anytime. So it's missing some kind of a life, because your body is able to dance too. Then use it as you are alive. Then I'm like sometimes making campaigns to help people to remember that the voice can not only speak but also sing, and so the life comes more alive, so I'm happy to be this channel to this live art and healing art and sacred art too, and I'm very glad to be here too. So thanks for listening all my words, and come to Brazil, guys.
Okay, we've got to get back there.
Yeah.
Thank you all, Marshall. Thank you so much, Uncle Chuck, Carol. I love you all. This is very special. And we're just going to continue at Planetary Gig Society, going down some of these rabbit holes. We have one more coming up January 8th, Music, Mushrooms, and Mycelia, which will be a similar but a little bit different kind of a conversation with Eileen McCusick and Roy Wooten and Rain Grant. So we'll just keep on this path. We'll all keep together, because it sure does Sure does work. It sure is great. So I talk to Spirit of Music all the time, and she helps me. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Thank you.